Hello guys, welcome to our Power BI for Data Analyst series. In our last video, we ingested data from SQL Server, MySQL, and even a flat file. Today, we are going to work on transforming data in Power Query. To have a better understanding of how data cleaning works in Power BI, you will need to have a good understanding of Power Query because all the data cleaning happens within Power Query. Now, I am on the interface of Power BI, which is a very familiar interface here. Within this interface, if you want to move into Power Query, all you need to do is to click on this transform and go to transform data, and that will take you to Power Query editor. And as you can see there, use the Power Query editor to connect, prepare, and transform data. So it's not just about cleaning data. Within Power Query, we prepare, transform, and clean the data. These are the three main terminologies used. And it's also good to know that cleaning is also different from preparing your data. Your data may not necessarily be dirty, but you want to also prepare it for a specific analysis. If we had a data set imported, there are still different ways to access the query editor, which is another name for Power Query. For now, let us go in and get our data. So I don't want to bother myself going through this way to get the data, going through Power Query to get the data. I will keep us here because most likely this is where we are going to go through for our data. So I want to get the data, which is in an Excel file. It's important to understand that you need to know where your data lives. So I'll click here to get the data, and my data is this. I have named it a messy retail dataset. It's a very simple dataset so as to get us started with the concept of data cleaning in Power Query. All right, so let's move on. I'll click on open. All right, so it's opening, and you know how it is. Excel works with the concept of sheet. So our data is in sheet 1. Hence, we are going to open sheet 1 to access the data. And this is the preview of the data. Now let's go into transform because that's what we want to do, clean and prepare our data for analysis. I'll click on transform and it will lead me to the query editor. And this, you can see it up there, untitled query editor. So let us move in and understand this data set. As soon as you bring in your data, you notice the name of the file written here. And because this is an Excel file, it picked up the sheet name instead of the workbook name. Please take note of that. So if you're bringing in like 10 sheets, it will import the names of those sheets. To rename it, I can click here and go here to rename it, or I can double click on it and then it becomes editable. I will rename it to retail. All right, so that's so easy. As soon as I rename it there, it also comes up here. You notice what we have here is query setting. Then within query setting, we have the properties and the apply steps. Now the property is more like the property name. You can also add other property. Now, the next one is the apply step. In Power Query, we do not have the concept of undo, the Control Z concept in Microsoft applications. We don't have the undo. What we have here is steps, which is also the same thing like the undo. Now, these steps records all the steps that will carry out within Power Query. Before now, there are 3 steps that have been carried out, and those are like the data source, the navigation, and the promoted header. So it will understand the data source, which we had already told it. It will navigate across the data and then try to promote the header. Now, this doesn't automatically happen in CSV, so you need to watch out for it so that you will promote it yourself if it doesn't promote automatically. All right, that's fine. And in case you want to promote automatically, all you needed to do is let us change this name of, let's go back to these steps. So I have deleted all these steps, and that is how to delete step. Now notice that we don't have any column name here. I've deleted all the steps that Power Query helped us to perform. So we don't have any column name. What I need to do now is to get these column names in column 1, in row 1 here, up there to be the column name. All I just need to do is to go here, up there, and in this transform group and use first row as header. Click on it and it will do all the magic for us. We don't have to do anything. And another thing it also tried to do is to change data type for us. You don't actually want it to do it for you. You want to be sure that you are the one controlling what the data type is. So I'm going to go back and delete the step. And we are happy. Okay, so we have explained the retail and the query set. Within this retail is where all the names of your tables will be. And here you can right click on any part of it to get new query. You can create parameter and you can create group. The concept of group is used to organize your table. For instance, you have sales 2021, 2022, or 2023. You can group them in one group and name them as sales. And that group becomes like a folder system within Power Query. We can also decide to do some manipulation on the existing query. Each table is called a query. So I can right click on it and copy it. And then when I right click and then I will paste. So it has made a copy, but I am not interested in doing that. So I'm going to delete it. All right. So I can also rename it just like I did, but that time I double clicked on the name to rename it. I could decide to say I want this table to be able to be loaded into Power BI or not by enabling it here. I can also say even though I want it to load, I don't want it, or I want it to be able to refresh or included in refresh whenever I click on refresh. I can see refresh up here. Good. And then I can make a duplicate here and also move this to any group I have created, like the folder system I told you about. All right. You can still move down here to see advanced editor, which I'm going to show you in a bit. And then this is a property of the table, depending on what you want. Good. So let us move in. I told you I'm going to show you the advanced editor. This is also the property. Everything you see here has to do with the table. It's selected table at a time. So this is advanced editor. It's a place where you go and you try to understand all the code that was generated for you within Power Query whenever you bring in data or perform any operation. So I'll click on it. Because this data table is selected, it's going to tell me this is my data source. That's my D drive. The name of the folder is project, another folder known as Power BI series, and then the data set. And it's showing me it's Excel. It also did the promotion. It promoted the first row as the header. And that's all we have, practically all we have done. And you can also decide sometimes, most times when you're working, this particular query will be so much and overflow. Now you can control it up here, display option, and you can decide how you want to control it. I like having mine in Word, enable Word wrapper, so I can see all the code. And it's also nice to interpret whenever you're reading it. All right, before we move on, notice down here it's showing me no syntax error. That's because there is no error. Whenever you're writing any code within your query editor, you are going to see a syntax error while you're writing it. And after that, if it's correct, you will see the syntax error go away and it give you this green tick to show that it is correct. All right, let's move on. So while we are here, notice that the first column that is selected is this. So let's go down and see some of the properties of this selected table. And at the bottom here, you will notice 14 columns. It's telling us that this table has 14 columns. And it is analyzing based on the first 1000 row. And you can see it that column profiling based on the 1000 row. And that brings us to what even is Power Query. It is a data profiling tool. It is used to help understand the quality of your data. And that is what data profiling tools are for. It's used to understand the quality of your data. And if it is not up to the quality you want, it is up to you to clean it based on the business rule and prepare your data based on the problem statement you are trying to resolve. All right, so let's move up here where everything happens. You know, the familiar command you have in all Microsoft applications like Excel, PowerPoint, all those. So let us go in. At the top, you have the untitled, and then we can also save. Okay, so the first one we have is file. I'm not working on file here. These are all the things we have on file. These are all the tabs. Now, within a tab is a concept of ribbon. And within a ribbon, we have the group. And the group are the ones you see at the bottom of each ribbon. And within each group, we have the commands. Now, in our home tab, Microsoft brings in all the frequently used commands that you might want to use whenever you are analyzing or preparing your data. So now it's up to you to say, all right, I like this. I will continue with it. Oh, I don't like it. I think I would want to create my own. All right. So, and if you want to understand how to do that, especially in Excel, I created a video which I will leave in the description on how to create a custom tab and ribbon for your analysis. All right. So let's move on. Now, in this home ribbon, we have the close, and within close, we have the close and apply. When you click on the arrow, close and apply is a situation where you have performed all your changes and you want to close it. So you want to close and apply all the changes you have done. Or you could just apply and continue, or close without applying. It's up to you, the option you want. And that's it about the close. The next is everything that has to do with getting new data sets or accessing the most recent data set. That's new source, and then you have Excel. And if you want more, you can click more here and get all the data set, just like you have it in Power BI. All of them, all the data connectors here. And let's move on. So the next thing is the most recent data that you have accessed. You can always see them here. And if you want to create a new data, like within Power Query, you click here and you are able to create a new data, custom data. And it happens, a lot of data analysts use it to help them deliver value the way they want to deliver it. All right, you can create your own table here. This is the table name. And then these are the column names. If you want more columns, you click here. If you want more rows, you click here. All right, so we're not creating any. We close it. Are you sure you want to exit? Your changes to the table will be lost. Yes, I want them to be lost. I'm not interested in changing them. Okay, so let's continue. Now, the next is the data sources, and this has to do with data source setting. So if I click on it, you notice it's telling me all the settings about my data source and even permission. If I want to change the data source, I can come here. If I want the permission, I can come here, edit permission, clear permission. It's up to me. And now what it has to do with this permission is you could get data from a data source that requires you to put in your login credentials. And that is where you go and edit those login credentials or even clear the one that is already there. Okay, so let's close it and continue. Next is query. Notice that everything we'll be doing here has to do with table, query, new query, data source. So this is used to modify your parameter for every table or column you're working on. However, we are not going to be working on this. So let's move on. This is simply to refresh this table to be ensure that it is up to date. Power BI or Power Query accesses the existing data at that point in time. However, after a few days or a few hours, if there are new data, you're not going to see them until you click on refresh. Then it will update your data. So please take note of that. All right, so let's move on. Then you have the property. We have talked about this property of this query or table. Then you can also manage this, delete, duplicate, or reference. So, and then the other one we have talked about it as our advanced query where we can perform a lot of coding, and we have done this before now. Okay, and this code you see in this advanced query is known as M language or M code. Good. We're going to do a few of them so that you get comfortable with them. Honestly, they are not some of the best and easiest language, but it's important you get comfortable with it. If you do, you will like it because they don't have so much syntax, just a few syntax, which are function based. Now, we then go to the next one, which has to do with how you manage your column. Conceal, choose column, go to column. Then how it means is here you can choose a column. When it opens, you can choose a particular column by just this way. Come in here. I want to choose only this transaction table and the transaction date, and those are the ones I will see. All right, so I'll come here to remove it because that's not what I want to do. And the other one will allow me go to exact column I want. Imagine you have a table that has like 50 columns. You want to access a particular column, you go straight to the column and transform it the way you want. So the next is the remove column and remove row. You can remove a particular column. For instance, since this is selected, I can remove that column that is selected, or I can remove other column. Having this selected, I can remove other column. In other words, if I want, let's say this three columns selected, and then I want to remove your other column aside the three columns, this is how I do it. Only these three columns will be there. But don't worry, I will bring them back by just coming here to remove all the steps I have performed, and they are back. And that is the beauty of this Power Query. You don't need to bother yourself about having a copy of the data set because this does not have affect the original data wherever they are. And that's a stark difference between it and Excel. And that's why I also recommend whenever you're cleaning data, that your data in Excel, clean it in Power Query because there is also Power Query in Excel. All right, let's move on to the next. So the same way we have with column, managing column, that's how we also have with row. So we want to choose, can keep top row, bottom row, keep a particular range that you want, can also keep duplicate if you want, or keep error within a row because you can also have a lot of errors in a row. The other one is all keeping duplicate, but here you remove, and keeping error, but here you remove error, you remove duplicate, remove what you want to remove, the top, the bottom, an alternate row, or a particular range. Good. Let's continue. We are done with those. We can also sort an ascending or descending order in our table. Good. Now we have the transform. And if you notice, we have the transform here and we have it in another tab. We are going to go there shortly. So some of the most frequently used command from transform tab were brought in here so as to use. And this is like split columns. You can split your columns by a delimiter, which we are going to use shortly. And other method you can use to split your column by position, number of character, lower to uppercase. It just depending on how you want. Power Query is so powerful that it gives you a whole lot of ability to do so many things here. So let's move on. Then you can also do what we call group by. Every data analyst, you know what group by means. When you need to perform some form of aggregation across a certain category. Let's say you want to know the maximum across countries or the average performance across countries, you can do it. But most likely, I don't perform any group in here because that is why I have Power BI. Power BI by default groups all these things for us on the report tab. So let's move on to the next one. So this one we can choose to choose the data type of the particular column we selected, or there is also other ways to do it. So let's move on. Then I've already talked about this. Click here to promote the first row to be your column name, and that's what we did earlier at the beginning. You can still see this arrow here. You can click on it to say use header as the first row, use first row as the header. So in other ways, there are sometimes your table could come and there is no header. Power BI or Power Query decided to automatically use the first row as your header. No, you don't want it. You want you don't want it that way because it is actually not the header. You want to manually add your header. So you tell it, no, use header as my first row, that I want to add a new header the way I want. So, and then that's how it works. So the other one, we have how to combine data. You can combine data horizontally, that is merge in Power Query. You want to combine data horizontally, that is merge. And you want to combine data vertically, that is append. Good. And we'll try to see if we can append data towards the end of this series. And okay, the other one has to do with AI Insight, which we are not doing right now. Guys, that is it about the home column. And I'm going to quickly go in and explain the difference between transform and add column. They both do the same thing, but in different way. Notice that we have almost everything in the transform, which is where all the main things happen. And then we have them in add column. So with transform, whenever I perform any transformation on a particular column, it affects that column directly. But if I do the same thing within add column tab or ribbon, it creates a new column for me. It performs that transformation on a new column. Now, this is it. It essentially does two things: creates a new column and performs the transformation. But in transform, it does one thing, and that is performs the transformation. Now, that tells you a thing. If you keep on using a lot of add column, that means the operation Power Query will be performing will be a whole lot. And this will affect it whenever you want to perform any form of refresh. it will take a longer time to refresh appropriately compared to when this is done within transform. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you should always use transform. There are a lot of times you want to use add column for any of your new column. Good. So now let's quickly go through here. So we have table, we have discussed all these things. You can also have the transpose and reverse row. You can also count row. Some of these things are not things we use so frequently because some of them Power BI does them within its report view. And then some other things you don't really need them because you can also do them with DAX. However, if you can do them appropriately within Power Query, it is much more recommended than using DAX function. All right. So the other ones are any column. These are some amazing things you can do. In case you come in here, you can ask it to dictate data type for you to go through your data set and automatically dictate the data type. And it doesn't mean it will always be correct. So it's up to you to check if they are correct and correct them. And then the other one is text to column. You know what it is. You've got text, you want to split it into different column or perform some other things like extract something or extract a particular part of the text into a new column. You can split the text into two different columns. And there are a lot of things you can do. You can also clean all those columns. For instance, since we are in transform, I can come in and use stream to remove the leading and lagging spaces, and it will happen on that field. It will not affect another field. That's it about transform. So the same things you see or functionalities you see in transform, you will also see them in add column. And I've explained the difference between the both ribbons or the both tabs. So let's go to view. Now in view, you can see the formula bar. If you don't want it, you can disable it, but usually we want it. And then the white space. If you don't want to show the white space, you can disable it. And then we have the column quality if you don't want it. And these are the column quality, valid, error. This shows you the number of rows that are valid, the ones that has error, and the ones that are null value. So, and then if you don't want it, you disable it, but I always want it. So you can also show the distribution of each of this, this valid, error, and empty when you click here. And then the next is you click on the column profile. All right, so we don't have anything happening here. Let's pick another column. So it's showing that the count is this, there's no error, there's no empty value. So let's disable this and go to column. Can go to column here. All right, those are all that I need and the ones that I necessarily use. This is the advanced editor. Let's go to tools. These tools I haven't used any of them. I don't really have need to use any of them. But then you use them to diagnose your data sets, and it's really important. I mostly do some of my diagnosis manually, reading the code. Then the last tab there is the all the places you can get help for Power Query. And you can see them, and even Power BI, you can see all of them, training, documentation. And I always recommend documentation because it is the single source of truth for any programming language or any application. So always reach out to it. Now that is nice. Let's go back to home. So we're back to home. The first thing you want to do when you want to clean your data is to understand the data set you have. So when we move around it, now you can see we've got some transaction ID. Of course, that's a transaction ID. And then we have dates, we have text, and then we have numerical value, just like you would in a typical retail data set. Now let's approach it this way. When I want to clean a data, I group them into three categories, and these are the dates, the text, and the numeric categories. So I usually start with the most difficult for me, usually is the date. Date and text are much more complex than number. So let's go to date. Now on date, we have two date columns here, which we have transaction date, and if you come down here, we have another date, which is the delivery date. So you can notice we also have some dates that are empty. All right. So in all our column, we have not changed any data type, which is one of the easiest thing you would want to do. And to change data type, you just come in here at the top left, you will see the data type here. This is ABC123. That means like a generic data type. And if you want to know, select this column and then come to this transform group, and then you will see data type any. So that's more like the general data type. It has not chosen any. So it's for us to pick up the data type we want, but I don't need any to choose any data type for this. So I will leave it because it is a transaction column. The next one is the data, which is where we're going to start our transformation. And in this date, you notice it's still selecting ABC 123. That is like general. And then we can quickly go in here and click on date because it is just date, not date time. And it will try to change the date for us, but it will change it based on what it knows, mostly like I'm US local, which is not what I want. When you look at this, you'll notice when you study these dates, you'll notice that we have May 31st, 2020. That's all written out in words and a number. This one, just like the short date format. And these are different dates. Some start with year, some start with day, and some start with month. So we are going to use local to try to transform as many as we want. And to do that, we right click on days. And when you right click on any column, and when you're transforming your data, you will see more options for that particular column. To copy the column, remove that particular column, or remove any other column except that column. You can also make a duplicate of that column. So many other things you can do here. But what we want to do is to change data type or change type. So when you click here, over here, notice an arrow there. It displays more information. Now you can change all the data to any data type aside going up here. You can come in here and change it. But what I want to do is to go to local. And this local means you could choose a particular local, which is the way a particular country or region arranges their date or writes their date. So I am in the UK and I will choose the UK local. So I'll come in here from this text. I want dates. And if you notice, it's already on the US local. So I don't want it. So I'll pick the UK. And you notice the UK have its day, month, and year. And that's usually the way I want my local. So but now it also depends on where you are working. The people who want to consume, the stakeholder who want to consume your data are the most important here to put into perspective, not really where you are. You could be in the UK and you work remotely for a US company. You have to put them into perspective. Or you are in the UK, you work for a UK company that has another branch in the US, and you want to prepare the dashboard for the branch in the US. You need to put them into perspective, the way they consume their data. They are the final consumers here. All right, let's move on. So we're happy here, and then we'll click on okay. So when you notice, what you notice there is now we have some error, and this error represents about 11%. And there are different ways you can go about debugging this error so that to ensure that you have all the dates. Now, I am not going to go through those because they are beyond the scope of this training. So I will move on and delete this error. So this red is for error. Now let's move on. When I hover on it, it pops up this, and I can come here and click on remove error. When I click on it, everything is now green. So I have successfully converted this from dates from the ABC 123 to date. Everything here is date. So let's move on to the other dates here. So on the other dates here, we have delivery date. And in this delivery date, so you notice we have the null value, lots of null values in this delivery date, whereas some of them also have the delivery date. All right, for this delivery date, you notice we have some null value. If you hover here, the dark side showing that we have empty cell, and that represented about 20% of it. We don't have error. So what I want to do is to assume that those rows that do not have any dates, these are customers who came to the store and made all their transaction, paid, picked up their goods and left. So there was no need for any delivery date to be recorded, and it was left null. And this has a lot to do with the data governance within a business. So you could choose to say, if this happens, keep it as the same date so that this will be entered. Or you could choose to leave it null, but it's important that you have a strong data governance on ground. I'm going to use custom column or custom field. So when I select this, I will go to add column. You know how what I said about the add column. So I'll click on custom column and click open it. I will name it complete delivery date. So what I want to do is to write an if statement. The whole idea is I would say if the delivery date is empty, if this particular delivery date is empty, I want it to return the date of the transaction, which is like the person picked it the same day. Otherwise, return the delivery date. And that's how the if statement works. So let's do it. So in this custom table, let's write this. I would say if, I'll just name it like this. If, good. So I will have the delivery date and click on insert. If this delivery date is equal to null, then what I want is the transaction date. I'll click on the transaction date, insert. Else, what I want is the delivery date. All right, so we are good. And so if delivery date is null, then give us this transaction date. So it will go and select the transaction date. Else, give us the delivery date. And easy, we will say, okay, you can notice we don't have any error. We say, okay. And this will create a new date for us. And of course, it's giving us the ABC123, like the generic date. So we're going to go in again and perform the magic we performed with the transaction date. So let's go in. So we're happy with what it has given us. There is no more null value. You can see the delivery date here, and then you can see the complete delivery date. So let's go in and do the magic we do the other time. Change data type, go to local. We're using the UK data type. So change this to dates and then the UK. So, and here we go. Good. And we still have some errors. So we're going to omit this. We're going to forgive this and delete it. That's about 8%. And we are good. We have now a working date here and a working date here. Excellent. We're done with date cleaning, and every other thing will be so easy for us. Now, understand this, that for every step we perform, this gets recorded by the side here. So what that means is I can easily come in here and delete this particular field, and it will not affect this, unlike in Excel where it will affect it. All right, so the next thing is, so I'm going to use the combination of transaction date and the delivery date to create a new value. I'm going to name this column day to delivery, just like the time it took from the time of transaction to the time of delivery. How many days did it take? Good, so this is how we go about it, and go to custom. So I'll name it day to delivery. All right, so let's go in. I will use duration days function. And what this does is simply picks the date, do the subtraction, and return the number. So let's go in. So I'll pick eight. The days, the first date will be the complete delivery date, and then minus the transaction date. And here, and then I will close it. So we are happy with this. Okay. So here we go. We got this number. Now, let us try and filter and see what happens here. Oh, wow, we got some negative numbers. This is not so cool. So let's filter them out. I know how many they are. So we have like about 13 of them. That's a huge number. But in this case, we can't have days to delivery to be in the negative. So what we can do is, what this means is delivery date is actually before the transaction date, which is kind of abnormal. So what we need to do is to go back to the data collection point and know what really happened, because this is now beyond us as data professional. Know why this has happened and how to correct them. For now, I'm going to filter them out, that they are not part of what we are doing. So clear the filter and come back again, filter them out for now so that they don't skew our analysis. Okay, so And we're happy with this. Now, the other things we can now do is to go and perform some extra step in terms of the dates. So we can pick up like days of the month. When we click here, we come to while we are still on add, we pick up the year. We can pick month of the year. We can pick months, start of month, day, end of month, name of month. Let's say we want to pick name of the month. Click here and then I will go here and then you will see the names of the month. I'll come back to it again. And normally when you pick names of the month, it's important that you also pick the month itself because that is the month number and that's going to help you in sorting your dates chronologically. The same way if I pick up day and then name of the day, I've got it at the end, you can see. Then I need to go and pick the day number, like the number of the week. So I will pick day and I will go day of the week. It's going to give me number. And that is going to help me in sorting days chronologically from Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Monday to Saturday, depending on when our date starts. Okay, so let's move on. And that brings us to the end of date cleaning. Let's quickly go to test cleaning. Now, in test cleaning, it's going to be very simple. Let's try to see all our dates, all our text. So we have here, this doesn't look like there is any issue, but for the sake of in case there is any leading or trailing space, you can see in this chart here, we've got a space here. So we can actually remove them. We'll go to formats. So I'm going to do that on transform because we don't want to create a new column. So click on transform and go to format, go to trim. I have been able to trim it. Okay, so and that's it. And the next is do the same thing here, but so you notice we have this space between the name and the address and we want to take it away. So the way I'm going to go about it is using M code. So let's go in and use just one line of code to handle everything for us. So again, we'll go to add column and custom field. And I'm going to name this email addresses. All right, let's be sure. Let's be sure that's what it is. Okay, customer email addresses. This is fine. And then I'm going to paste this code and explain it. First is that it's going to split this column in any space it finds and then trim it. After trimming it, it will then combine it for us. Now, what this is when it combines it, I don't want any space. So let's go in and have it. We've got an error. So where is our error coming from? So let's click on it to understand the error. Expression to error. The field, your column. Oh, sorry, I did not change the column name. Sorry, when I pasted it, because these are custom code. So let me work on it. Now that's also another thing. So when you come here, if you want to edit the step you have made, you can click on this gear and then edit it. So this column name, I have not chosen it. So I'm going to delete this and come here. The column where I want to work is the email, customer email. So when I click on it, insert, and that's all we needed to do, and the error will disappear. And you notice all those things are gone. Easy. So let's move on to the next one. So I want to extract the website. So I expect that the website, when you go in here, so let's pick one of them. So I expect that the company's website will be here after the address. And of course, some of them are Yahoo, but most companies usually prefer you log in using your business website or company's website. So let's extract the website. I'll go in, click on extract. I want to extract. So after a delimiter, and that delimiter will be the add sound. And what it means that after this sign, get me the next information. So when I click on it, it created it for us. And you can see company's website created. I'll double click on here and I will say company's website. So enter key and then we are good to go. And we are almost done. The other thing I want to do is to select country from location. So let's go to location. All right, so here is our location and I want to get the country. So there is a pattern here. We have Congo, Korea. Zimbabwe. So you notice the countries are mostly the last word there before the comma. So I will go again and use, of course, I want them to be in a new column. So I will go and use extract while I am in add column. And I will still use delimiter after, text after delimiter. So I'll pick it there and I will use the comma sign because that's my delimiter when you look at that. And then I will pick that. All right, so this is good. And you notice we have successfully created this. But this time around, it has this abbreviation accompanying it. But what we want is just the Congo. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and do another split. So extract this after the limiter, and I will get another field, which is what we want at this time. And I can now delete this one. Then double click here. I will name it country. And you notice that some of them are not fully country, like this one. So I could just come in here and check it out. And these are more like regions around a country. We have the British Indian Ocean Territory. These are territories, not necessarily a country. I could actually come and filter them out, but I'm going to leave them that way. All right. So we have successfully completed our text cleaning, and it can actually get much more complex than this. But it's up to you based on what you are asked to do. And you only prepare your data based on what you're asked to do. There won't be any need for you to start preparing your data where it's not going to add value to the question on ground. If it's not going to answer the question on ground, there is no need preparing your data along that direction. So it's important to be focused on what you want to do. And the last one, but not the least, is the numerical cleaning, and it's going to be fast. All right, so I have here the numbers are simple. So let's go into the numbers. So we have this number. All I can do is, first of all, what I can do is to click here and change it because it's quantity. So I'm going to just change it to whole number. And do we have everything correct? Yeah, so, but before then, check out what this is. I'm gonna go back to the steps. So it's seen three here and three here, six here, and these are being seen as tests, the same way with some other ones. In other words, this three you see here is different from this other three, and I can prove it to you by going here to inspect. So you notice we have three here and we have another three here. 10, 10, 1. And this is because it's seeing one as test, the other one as number. And that's how they all come as out as unique. But to correct this, we just go in and convert it all of them to whole number. That way you have unique numbers and you can say it. Let's load more and you will see it 1 to 10. And that's sorted and we're done with this. That's how simple it is. And the next one is this. We still have this one that is showing as text. Remember, text is left aligned and numbers are right aligned. The same way, let's go in. Because we're talking about unit of price, we're talking about money here. Let's make them decimal number and we're good. So yeah, we're good. So everything is converted. And I will also look at this and convert it that way too. Because it's in generic, I'll convert it that way. All right. So sorted. Do we have any other number? This is a discount amount. All right. So this is a discount amount. We can actually decide to perform another operation. This discount amount, from where it is coming from, it's supposed to be like 17% discount, but because it is here, Power Query is saying it as number. If I try to convert this to percentage, this is what it will give me. So this is what it will give me, and this is not what we are looking at. We're looking at something like 0.17 for a 17%. So I'm gonna take away that. While it is here, let us go to transform and come to this arithmetic operation and all right, come here and do some divide. So I'm going to divide by 100. When I divide all the numbers by 100, you see we have this. It is back to what it should be. Now I can easily convert it to percentage if I want, and now it's giving me that 17%, exactly what we want. Now with this, we can easily know how much of this total sale is actually discounted. And we can do that by, let's go to add column. And while we are here, we go to custom column and we can go call this net sales. And I will pick up the column. The field is total sales, good. And then multiply by discount applied. And you notice we have 1642. Compare it to, all right, what I'm going to do now is to drag it. So that's some of the things you can do with Power Query to wherever you want. Okay, so yeah, the numbers good. So let's place it here. All right, so now let's do a little comparison. So this is not the net sales, this is the discounted amount. So I will call it discounted, excellent, discounted amount. Sorry for naming it as net sales. Now the net sales will be, it's either we do this minus total sales minus discounted amount, or we go back and still use this discount. It just depends on what we want to use. Now let's go and do net sales. The same method as we are here on add column, we click on custom column and perform the same operation. This time around, we name it the net sales. So I could go and say, the way I will go about it now is simply total sales minus discounted amount. Let's see where it is. It should be towards the end. It's not there. Discounted amount, excellent, insert. And then that should give me this. So, and I'm going to drag it towards that end so we can say it properly. All right, so I'm here now. So now when you compare this, all right, so I think I would prefer to move this discount to this point. Good. To arrange them, move this to here. Good. So this minus this give us this. This minus this will give us this. And that is, so net sales minus discounted amount. Total sales minus net sales will give us discounted amount. And you see how we got it. And all these operations we have applied, all the steps and operations we have applied on this table, you can all see them here. And that's how easy it is. I can collapse it and relax it. And when we are done, you can go in and say close and apply, as I stated earlier. And that will be it. And it's loading. And what it does now, it's going to apply all the steps that we have applied, all the steps that we have taken to achieve what we have achieved. It applied all of them to us. And when we go in, and that's it, we go to table, and then you will see the entire table. Now notice there are some cleanup I did not perform, like this custom column. I should custom email, like this customer email, I should have, deleted it. So I'm going to go in there and delete it because it's not really useful to us. So to go in there, again, this is an opportunity to show you how to go. Click here. Let me expand this. All right, so I will come in here to the table, go straight to query editor. It will take me down straight to that table. And I'm here. Query editor is open again. This is a column and I don't need it. Remove it. Do we have any other house cleaning to do? Do we still need this location? I don't think we need this location. Like, we've gotten the name of the country. We don't necessarily need it. If we want to take it away, fine. If we don't want, we can stay, leave it, and then load it into the table. So one of the things we did not do again is here, we did not perform some standardization here. So what I can do is to simply go to format on the same column, format, and what I would do is to give it a capitalizing each word, and now I have standardized everything here. And that's how it should be for all the categorical column. Standardize them. Good. Because as a data analyst, part of your data preparation is to standardize your numbers, is to standardize your data. Okay, so we notice we have something here that is not in order. So let's convert that to, that's unit price. Not sure why it's not there again. So let's convert it. So we are good. Any other thing here? Yeah, I think we are in order. Not sure here. Any issue here? I don't think there's any issue. If there's no issue, there's no need applying any step. The whole idea is to reduce the number of steps, the number of operation or calculation that your Power Query will need to perform before it gives you the final output whenever you perform any refresh. So we're good. Now we go in and close and apply again. And we are happy with where we are. All right, so we are happy. Now everything is loaded. Now let's move in here. You can now see that we have what we wanted. So the other step you can do here is to go to those discounted amount, things like this, change it to currency here, change the data type to currency. Sorry, you change data type here to currency. And where is the currency? Oh, okay. Why do we have num test here? Notice we have tests here. They are showing us tests when they are supposed to showing us number. So we need to go and correct this our calculation. It is showing us text when it's supposed to show us number. Again, let's come in through here and check why it is showing that way. It is showing us number properly here, but not there. So not sure why it is doing that. So let's close and apply. So come in here. Why are you showing that? Convert that to decimal first. That's what we want. Good, it's been converted. Decimal, good. Same way, decimal. Good. So from this point, I think we should be able to convert it to currency. So I'll convert it to currency. And of course, it picks dollar by default, but I want the United Kingdom. And I'm going to end it here. This is it. This is how you prepare your data. This is how you use Power Query to prepare your data for quality analysis. Mind you, these things completely depend on the problem statement you're trying to solve, the solution you're trying to dish out there. Advise you to stick to the problem you're trying to solve. I've been able to walk you through on the interface of Power Query, how to clean data, where to start, and I always categorize mine into text, date, and numerical field. And you saw how we prepared our data in all those levels and handle some of the missing values. Now, if you got value from this video, I encourage you to give it a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you'll be the first to know whenever I release new video. This is a series that is ongoing on Power BI tutorial and we have gone far. I encourage you to check the other video. I will also leave this data set in the description so that you will be able to follow along with this data cleaning. And until I see you again, please keep analyzing.